There was a particularly eloquent and important passage in Trump's speech to Poland that he gave last week. It wasn't really highlighted by the media, so I wanted to call it to your attention because it really represents an important breakthrough in his thinking and in our national ideology. He said to the Polish audience, "Finally, on both sides of the Atlantic, our citizens are confronted by yet another danger." He had already spoken about al-Qaeda and terrorism. "One firmly within our control. This danger is invisible to some, but familiar to the Poles. The steady creep of government bureaucracy that drains the vitality and wealth of the people. The West became great not because of paperwork and regulations, but because people were allowed to chase their dreams and pursue their own destinies. Americans, Poles, and the nations of Europe value individual freedom and sovereignty. We must work together to confront forces, whether they come from inside or out, that threaten to undermine those traditions that make us who we are." Now, this speech was really given to Poland because of its wrestling now with the European Union, which is a vast bureaucracy, unelected by anybody, unchecked by any court, not subservient to any constitution, that impose rules and regulations on virtually every aspect of life. In a real sense, it's the European version of socialism, and it's had a debilitating effect on the European economy. And the nations of Eastern Europe, newly freed from this kind of bureaucratic control under communism, are determined to resist it when it comes from Europe as well. And Trump now has really spoken out in a vigorous and important way to identify bureaucracy, the growth of government, as being the leading threat to our freedom. In this analysis, he concurs completely with our own founding fathers, who devoted the whole Constitution, basically, to limiting the power of government, because they understood that bureaucracy ultimately sought to control everybody and to make freedom impossible. That's because, of course, in the European monarchies, that was the case. And then under communism, it was the case. And now under what you could call bureaucratism, it is the case. That's the ultimate reason for doing things like repealing Obamacare and rolling back these EPA regulations and changing the labor union organizing policies of the federal government. Not because you think the regulation is right or wrong, not because you agree or disagree ideologically, but because of the very concept of government regulation and the vast expansion of that control limits our freedom and undermines our capacity for economic growth. The Poles see it. Trump sees it. It's about time we saw it. Thanks for watching.